Okay, here we go. Going over this warm-up. Hey, going over this warm-up. We have to plug each one of the numbers in. -1, 0, and 1. So if I plug in a -1, what do I get, DeVoe? 4. Plug in a 0, what do I get? Haley G? How about 1? Haley B? 0. All right, how did I get these numbers? Well, let's look at them. So -2 times -1 plus 2. -2 times -1 is a positive 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. Second one, -2 times 0 plus 2. I'm going to have 0 plus 2, which is 2. Correct. Last one, -2 times 1 plus 2 is going to be -2 plus 2, which is 0. That's correct. Now we graph them. I have -1, so left one up 4. It would be right there. Second one, I'm at 0, 2. Last one, 1 and 0. Be right there. Connect the dots. Straight line, no dots. Questions? It is. Believe me. This thing's about impossible to graph on. It doesn't work so great. You can use line. There we go. There's a straight line. It's good. All right. So, questions on that, guys? Put the points on. So this was the point. -1, 4. Hey. So that was the point, -1, 4. So I'm left 1, up 4. That's my point. I have 0, 2. 0, 2. 1, 0. 1, 0. Just graph the points. Your x and y that are pairs are your points. 0 and 2. 1 and 0. Okay, there's the 3 points I just graphed. Too bad there wasn't a video that explained how to do it, huh?
Yeah, too bad.
All right, here we go. 4, 5. Moving on up. All right, slope and writing a function rule. So we're going to add on to that a little bit. We're still going to be doing some graphing type things. We just need to expand a little bit. All right, I want to talk more about this. It's all well and good if you plug points in, but it's not very fun if you have something like y equals 13x plus 26. Who wants to graph that? I mean, it's not on the graph. It's going to be way off. We don't want to do that. So we got to look at it a little more. So the first thing, slope and writing the function rule, we have a thing called slope. Okay? Slope is your vertical change over your horizontal change, also known as rise over run. Now this thing here then is called, this is your slope formula. Let me get a different color. So this one here is your slope formula. All right. The top thing is a description of slope, is the vertical change of your line over the horizontal change, also known as rise over run. So rise is how far up and down you go. Run is how far you go left and right. Okay? If I'm running forward or backward. If I'm rising, that means I'm standing up. Okay? So that's the definition of slope. Basically, slope is the angle of your line. All right? So if I have my slope, like if my line is my arm, the slope is what makes this go like this. If I adjust my slope bigger and smaller. If I'm here, if my slope is 1, twice as steep would be 2. And bigger and bigger and bigger. Smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay? All right, I actually want to move this thing ahead. All right, so if you look at slopes on a graph, if my slope is going uphill from left to right, left side, left to right, if it's going uphill, it's a positive slope. Okay? If my slope is going downhill, if my line is going down here, that means my slope is negative. Simple enough so far? Uphill is positive, downhill is negative. This here would be a line with slope of 1. Okay? That line has a slope of 1 in this case. That's the angle that line is climbing, how fast it's getting bigger. The steeper the line is, the greater the slope. So if this is 1, like I said, 2 would be something like this. 4, 5, and as you get steeper, as you get taller, or as you get higher in number, it gets steeper. Back to 1, maybe this would be 1/2, 1/4, and so on. When I hit 0, it's that. Okay? And then I would start with negatives. That makes sense? That's how the line looks as we go through. We have two special cases. If it is straight up and down, it's called undefined slope because it got too big. Remember I said if it got bigger and bigger and bigger, it gets steeper and steeper? As you get to like past the millions and billions and trillions, after you hit a certain point, you can't get any bigger, can you? It's called infinity. Infinity, we don't know how to describe that. That's undefined. Now, as we get flatter and flatter and flatter and flatter, we get closer to 0, then we hit 0, and then we start in the negatives again. And that's how slope works. Does that make sense so far? Okay, so if I look back at a previous graph real quick, looking at this one right here, is my slope positive or negative? It's negative. Why is it negative? Because it's going downhill from left to right, correct? Yeah, it would be a negative slope. There you go. All right, and we'll find out that that negative sign right there is what made that difference. Okay, so that was just special cases. You guys all right? You keeping up with me so far?
No, not at all. You're going like. You're going too fast.
Okay, positive slope.
Okay.
Maybe you're right slow. I don't know.
Not like that slow.
Give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go off this page. Okay. This is slope on a graph. All right, we go with this page? Okay. So flip back to here real quick. And then here's the last one, special cases. Okay. So horizontal line And this one is a vertical line. This is going to be something that's going to follow you for a long time, the slope. Okay? Slope is how things change over time. Slope is, we're looking at it graphically right now. But slope is in a function. If I tell you that the price of meat is $2.25 per pound, well, we talked about this before. That'd be an equation like y equals 225x. 225 was my slope. That was the change. That's what changed with each pound. That's what changed with each mile that you go, or whatever that might be. It's something that carries through. Yes, we're looking at it graphically, but that's just what it means in general. Okay, so first off, let's look at it between 2 points. If I want to find the slope of a line between 2 points, okay? If I want to find the slope of a line between 2 points, I need to use that equation, that slope formula that I just found above. y2 minus y1 or x2 minus x1. I highly suggest that you memorize that formula. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, memorize that, star this, put this beside you in your notes. Boom. All right, make sure you know exactly where that's at. Put a box around it. I don't care. We're going to need to refer to that. You'll need to refer to it today. You'll need to refer to it for your homework tonight, for your assignment the next day, probably the next 2 or 3 lessons, if we're being honest. All right? Make sure you know where that's at. So if I give 2 points, here's 2 points. It's going to say something like this. The equation, the line passes through the points 4, 3, and 10, 7. Find the slope of the line. So this is what you have to do. Each one of those is a pair of points. Here's a point. Here's a point. Okay? I don't care if you call this one point 1 and point 2, or someone else calls this point 1 and this point 2. That doesn't matter. Just know that they are 2 separate points, here and here. So the first thing you need to do, go through and label them. I am requiring you to do this right now. Okay? As we get better at this, maybe in a couple days, if you're good with this, you don't have to label it. But go through, label it. It'll make life so much easier. Remember, this is x, this is y, correct? This will be x1, that's my first x. This is my first y. X and y, 2 and 2. Okay? So x1, y1, x2, y2. All I did was label it. I'm saying this left point's my first point, the right point's my second point. That's all I did so far. Is that all right? And anytime we have a ordered pair like this, xy, 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 and so on. Now, plug those into your formula up above. What is my y2 number here? I just labeled it. What's my y2 number?
7.
Yeah, 7. Okay? 7 minus, what's my y1?
3.
3. On the bottom, what's my x2?
10.
10. What is my x1? 4. And it has to be minus 4. Okay? What's 7 minus 3? 4. What's 10 minus 4? 6. Now, can I simplify 4 over 6? Yes. What does it simplify to? 2/3. Good. And leave it at that. Do not make it a decimal. Okay? Leave it as a fraction. It'll make life easier on you later. I promise. That was the first one, yeah. First one's done.
Can you use a different color? Something a little brighter. I guess pretty dark colors.
Try red or lime green, maybe.
Might work.
Okay. All right, next one. Let's try it. I'm going to label it X1, Y1. Better? Okay. And then X2, Y2. All right. So what is my Y2 number? Negative 15. Good. Minus. What's my Y1? 7. Over. What's my X2? What's my minus? What's my Y1 or X1? 5. All right. Now take your time on these. What's negative 15 minus 7? Yeah. Good. Negative 22. What is 12 minus 5? 7. Does that simplify at all? No. Leave it like that. I know it's an improper. I don't care. Leave it like that. As long as it's simplified, leave it as a fraction. Leave it improper. Do not make them. You don't have to make the mixed number. Leave it just like that. All right. Let's do one more together. Then I'm going to have you try 3 of them here. So example 3. 1, X1, Y1. X2, Y2. All right, so I labeled them. Again, first thing, every time you do a slope with 2 points, go through, label X1, Y1, X2, Y2, every time. It'll create so many less mistakes for you, I promise you. That is honestly one of the biggest mistakes that's made. That and the one I'm going to show you here in a second. Yeah. That's what we're going to talk about right now. Okay? Here is the biggest mistake I see on slope. I promise you this. So I have Y2, which is negative 9, minus Y1. Y1 is negative 2. I see this all the time. Someone goes, all right, it's negative 2. We already have a minus there, so I'm good. That is not correct. Okay? A minus a negative 2. Okay? Same thing on the bottom. 8 minus my x1, which is negative 4. Make sure you have a minus and then whatever the number is. The negative goes with it. Okay, that is the biggest mistake I see on slope. So now 2 negatives become a what? Positive. So on top, I'm going to have negative 9 plus 2. On the bottom, I have 8 plus 4. What's negative 9 plus 2? Negative 7. What's 8 plus 4? 12. Doesn't simplify. I'm done. So be careful on the negatives there. All right? Now there's 3 more up on the screen. Very similar to what we did. Okay? Use these 3 above as samples. I'm going to give you 4 minutes. So I want you guys to try these, find the slope of each one, plug them into the formula, and simplify. Who wants to walk me through number 1? A volunteer? All right, Tommy, what do you do? What's the very first step you do before you start putting numbers down?
X1 is your Y1.
Okay.
Your X1, 2 would be your Y1, 8 would be X2, negative 6 would be Y2.
Okay, good. Now let's plug them in. What do you get?
Negative 6
Uh-huh.
minus 2
Yep.
and 8 minus 3.
Good. Negative 6 minus 2 is? Negative 6 minus 2 is? Negative 8. 8 minus 3 is? Does that simplify it all? No. All right. Second one. Who wants to walk me through this one? All right. What's the first step you got to do?
Label
Good.
X1, Y1, X2, Y2.
Good. Now what? What's my y2?
0,
Minus?
minus 6,
Over?
over negative 7, minus 1,
Okay. Top is going to be?
negative 6,
Bottom.
negative 8,
That simplifies to?
negative 3/4.
Well, 2 negatives make a positive, so it'll be positive 3/4. Last one. Volunteer? Yep. Yeah, you. Okay. Got that done. Now what? So negative 7 minus not negative 2, but 5. Then on the bottom, I'm going to have negative 1 minus. There we go. All right, so negative 7 and negative 5 is going to be, what's 7 plus 5? 12, so it'll be a negative 12. On the bottom, this is going to turn into negative 1 plus 2. So what's negative 1 plus 2? 1. All right, so then my answer is just going to be negative 12. Questions? How many of you guys think you can handle that? Honestly, label, follow, label, follow, label, follow. Every time, boom, 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 just a straight process. If you get too ahead of yourself, you'll make some mistakes there. So right there on those 3, how many went 3 for 3? 2 for 3. 1 for 3. 0 for 3. Mix up some positives and negatives. All right, again, this is, I think more so than anything, it's not a hard concept. It's the addition and subtraction that people mess up. They either plug in the wrong number, they get X and Y backwards, or 2, they get messed up with positives and negatives. It's what happens. Just be careful. Take your time there. All right, so let's talk a little more about this. Now, when I have something like this, y equals a number times x, then plus or minus a number. That's called slope-intercept form. It's the same at the bottom. Slope-intercept form is the form y equals mx plus b. Why the heck they chose m for slope and b for y-intercept is beyond me. Okay, slope is what we've been talking about. Y-intercept is the y-coordinate of the point of a line crosses the y-axis. So it's the value of y where your line crosses the y-axis. Y-axis is the one straight up and down. Make sure you have this written down as well. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, m is your slope, b is your y-intercept. Write that puppy down. I promise you again, that's going to stay with you from now until the end of your math career. Okay? Y equals mx plus b. Right there. Boom. Gotta know it. Absolutely gotta know it.
that your list of people to hit with a ruler?
Sure.
Works, right?
And it makes sense. This name's on there.
Yeah, but not me, right?
No, that's you.
Trust me, Halen's not good either.
Hmm?
Trust me, Halen's not good either.
That's it.
I heard you bragging about him earlier, and I poked my head in the door. No, he's not. Trust me, you ask his little brother, he's not. He's.
He at least does his math. All right, we good? We got this written down?
Doesn't do anything else.
Okay. So slope intercept is form of a linear equation. So for instance, if I have this, y equals 2x plus 3. What's my slope, Johnson? Just 2. Just the number in front. Okay? 2. The number in front of the x is my slope. Chris here, what's my y-intercept? 3. Okay? So my slope is the number with the x. Y-intercept is the tagged on thing at the end. With me? All right. So let's look at a graph now. Let's figure out the slope and the y-intercept. Figure out the equation of these lines. So I have a couple lines on here. All right, I want to figure out the equation of these lines. Before we graph them by an input-output chart, right? We need two things. We need a slope and we need a y-intercept. All right, so we need a slope and we need a y-intercept.
Who else is ready to go with?
Don't worry, we're going to spend some time on it. So looking at this first one on the left, where does it cross my y-axis at? What point? -1. Crosses right there. You with me? So crosses at -1. Now, to find the slope, what you want to do is find 2 points where it kind of crosses the grid really nicely. Okay? So I'm just going to use that point I just used, and let's use this one. See, it crosses the grid right on the corner of the grid. See what I mean? Now this is where the rise over run thing comes into play. So start at your left-handed point. Do I have to go up or down to get to the next point? If I can only go straight up and down and straight right or left, I have to go up or down first to get to the next point. Up, great idea. If I'm here and I want to get to here, I have to go up the graph and then go to the right. Agreed? So I would have to go up 2 spots. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay? And then if I go from here, I have to go to the right 1, 2. Okay? Up and down is my rise. Right and left is my run. So remember back at the beginning of the lesson we said rise over run? So my slope is rise over run, 2 over 2. What's 2 over 2 going to be? What's that simplified to? 1. So my slope is 1. I went up 2, over 2. Rise is 2, run is 2. From these points, I just followed along here, following the graph. From -1 to 0 is 1, 0 to -1 is 1. Because I was using this point. I wanted to go from this point to this point. And I can only go up and down, left and right. Think of it like almost like Battleship. Or Battleship. Okay? Alright, so my slope was 1. Therefore, my equation is y equals mx plus b. My slope is 1. My y-intercept is -1. That would be the equation of my line. All right? With me? I see some okay. I see a few blank stares, a few inquisitives. Like that word, didn't you? All right, second one. Let's look at the second one. Slope, y-intercept. Where do I cross my y-axis at? +2. Boom, right there. That's the easiest one there is. All right, from there, I want to find my slope. So find 2 points that crosses the corners really nicely. I like this guy right here. You see that? So there's 2 points. One I already picked on the y-axis, and then that other one that crosses the corner really nicely. So if I start at my left-handed point, do I have to go up or down? Correct, I have to go down. I went down 1. Now if I go down, that would be minus. Okay? Now do I have to go right or left? To go to the right. Go to the right. 1, 2, 3. It disappeared. 1, 2, 3. So what was my rise? It's -1, correct? My run was 3. Therefore, my slope is -1/3. My slope is -1/3. Y equals my slope, x plus 2. This is one of those ones. It'll become easy. I promise you, we're gonna spend some time on this. I promise. We're gonna do this. We'll look at a line. I'm trying this a little different with you guys. A lot of times I try to graph by rule first and then do it backwards. This year with you guys, I'm gonna try this way, doing it, writing an equation from the line, and then write a line from the equation. Draw a line from the equation. But we're gonna do this. We'll spend a while on this. We're gonna do a project. We have a little project. We're gonna be drawing pictures with graphing lines. It'll be fun. Be creative. All right. There's a game we're gonna play where it's kind of like pinball or mini golf. We'll play that game, and it has to do with manipulating lines. All right. So let's do one more before I cut you loose. So right here, write the equation of the line. First off, where do I cross the y-intercept, or where do I cross the y-axis at? Cross the y-axis right there, at -3. Correct? That is my B. And then M. Find a spot where it crosses really nice. I'm going to say right here. Hey, still looking. So I had to go down 1, 2, 3. So that's -3 plus 2. My slope, rise over run, so it's -3 over 2. So my slope is -3/2. Y equals -3/2 x minus 3 will be my line. Now, there's going to be 2 assignments up. Okay? One for today, one for tomorrow. Or one for Tuesday, one for Wednesday. Doesn't matter. 2 assignments. The first one is just slope of 2 points. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's all that is. Okay? Second part is this. At the minimum, get the slope one done with the 2 points. Got me? I think we did pretty good with that. All right, we're gonna keep repping that, but I think we're pretty good on that. This stuff, if you don't quite get to it, if you get confused, that's okay. We are still gonna focus more on this, I promise. Have a good day, guys.